He tried to end his life after I cheated, and now he's in a coma.
I still don't know how we got here. How everything spiraled out of control so quickly. One moment, life was moving along its usual course, with its ups and downs. And the next,
it felt like I had shattered something so delicate that it couldn't be pieced back together.
The decisions I made, the mistakes I refused to admit at the time, and the chain reaction they set off led to this: the cold,
sterile room I now sit in,
staring at the machines that are keeping my boyfriend alive.
If you told me a year ago that I'd be here,
that this would be my reality,
I would have laughed.
I would have said you were being dramatic. That our love was too strong to fall apart. That nothing could break us. But it wasn't the world that broke us, it was me. I destroyed what we had. And now I'm left to carry the weight of it all. When we first started dating, everything was perfect.
Isn't that how it always goes?
You meet someone, you fall in love, and for a while, it feels like nothing in the world could go wrong. We were that couple, laughing,
joking,
always by each other's side. We had plans, dreams, and a future that seemed bright and full of promise. I felt lucky to have him, to be with someone who loved me so deeply and unconditionally. But what I didn't realize was how much I was taking him for granted. I wish I could pinpoint the exact moment things began to fall apart. But I can't. It wasn't one big event, but a series of small cracks that slowly spread across the surface of our relationship. I began to pull away, not physically,
but emotionally.
I stopped being present, stopped appreciating the little things he did for me. We became comfortable in a way that wasn't healthy, comfortable in our routine, comfortable in our distance, and then I made the worst mistake of my life. I cheated on him. It wasn't planned.
I wasn't looking for an escape or a way out of the relationship.
It just happened. That's the excuse I gave myself at first, that it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. But that's the thing about betrayal, it always means something. Even if I didn't intend to hurt him, I did. I crossed a line that I could never uncross. And deep down, I knew that I had destroyed something between us.
At first,
I didn't tell him. I convinced myself that what he didn't know couldn't hurt him. But the guilt gnawed at me. Every time I looked at him, every time he smiled at me, it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. He didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve to be lied to
be kept in the dark about something so awful.
But I couldn't bring myself to confess. I was too scared of losing him. Scared of the consequences of my actions. Days turned into weeks, and the distance between us grew. I could feel him slipping away, even though he didn't know why.
He'd ask me if something was wrong, if I was okay.
And I'd lie. I'd tell him everything was fine, that I was just stressed, that I needed space. But what I really needed was the courage to face what I had done. Then, one day,
the truth came out.
It wasn't in some dramatic confession. He found out on his own. I don't even know how he discovered it. But when he confronted me, the look in his eyes was enough to make me wish I had never existed. It wasn't anger. Not at first. It was hurt, pure, unfiltered hurt. I had betrayed the one person who had always been there for me. And in that moment, I knew I had broken something in him. I tried to explain, to apologize. But there are no words that can fix a betrayal like that. The damage had been done, and there was no taking it back. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just walked out. And that's when I realized that I had lost him.
The days that followed were a blur.
I called. I texted.
I tried to reach out.
But he didn't respond. I felt like I was living in a nightmare. One that I had created but didn't know how to wake up from. Every day that passed without hearing from him made the weight of my guilt heavier, crushing me from the inside. Then came the call. His sister. Her voice was shaky, trembling, as she told me what had happened.
He had tried to take his own life.
He couldn't bear the pain, the betrayal, and he saw no other way out. My heart stopped in that moment. The world stopped. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All I could do was rush to the hospital, praying that it wasn't too late. But it was. Not too late for him to be alive, but too late for the life he once had. He was in a coma. The doctors said they didn't know if he would wake up, if he would ever be the same again. And all I could think was, this is my fault. I've been sitting by his bedside for weeks now, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest, listening to the rhythmic beeping of the machines that keep him alive. I've been living in this limbo, caught between hope and despair, waiting for a miracle that may never come. Every day, I wonder if today will be the day he wakes up. If today will be the day I get to see his eyes open again. But every day, I'm met with the same silence, the same uncertainty.
His family doesn't talk to me.
I can't blame them. They don't want me here. And I understand why. I'm the reason he's lying in that bed. The reason their son, their brother, is in a coma. I've heard the whispers. The things they say when they think I'm not listening. They blame me. And they're right to do so. I blame myself too.
I've spent countless hours replaying everything in my mind,
trying to figure out where I went wrong. How I let things get this bad.
But the truth is,
it's not just one thing. It's all of it. It's the lies, the betrayal, the choices I made without thinking about the consequences. It's the way I hurt him, the way I broke him, until he felt like he had no other choice but to escape the pain. People tell me that I need to forgive myself, that holding on to the guilt won't help anyone. But how do you forgive yourself when you've caused this much damage? How do you move on when the person you love is lying in a hospital bed because of you? I don't have the answers. All I know is that I have to keep going, to keep showing up. Because maybe, just maybe, he'll wake up. Maybe one day, he'll open his eyes, and I'll have the chance to tell him how sorry I am. But I also know that if that day comes, it won't erase what I've done. It won't change the fact that I'm the reason he's here. The reason he's been in this coma for weeks. And what if he doesn't wake up? What if this is it?
If this is how his life ends?
The thought terrifies me, keeps me awake at night,
staring at the ceiling as the weight of my actions presses down on me.
I can't imagine a world where he's gone, where I never get to see him smile again, never get to hear his voice. I try to imagine what he must have been feeling in those final moments before he decided to end it all. The pain, the hopelessness, the betrayal that must have consumed him. I wish I could take it all back, undo everything I did. But life doesn't work that way. We don't get to rewrite our mistakes, no matter how much we want to. So here I am, trapped in this endless cycle of guilt and regret, waiting for a sign that everything will be okay. But deep down, I know that things will never be the same again. Even if he wakes up, even if by some miracle he forgives me, the cracks in our relationship will always be there. A reminder of the betrayal that changed everything. I wonder if he'll ever be able to trust me again. If he'll even want to see me when he wakes up. Maybe he'll hate me. And I wouldn't blame him if he did. How do you forgive someone who hurt you so deeply that you felt like your only way out was death? The doctors say that there's still hope, that he could wake up.
But they don't know for sure.
They don't have the answers I'm looking for. The answers that will give me some sense of peace. I spend every day hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Because I know that life doesn't always give us the endings we want. I try to imagine what my life will look like if he doesn't wake up.
Will I be able to move on?
To forgive myself for what I've done? Will I ever find happiness again? Or will this be the thing that defines me for the rest of my life? I don't know. Right now, all I can do is wait. Wait for him to wake up. Wait for the chance to tell him how sorry I am. Wait for the day when this nightmare might finally be over. But until then, I'll be here, sitting by his bedside, hoping for a miracle that might never come.